Dr. Bill Bledsoe. No abortions, no restrictions on guns, none. And pro-Trump from day one. Bill Bledsoe's just too conservative for South Carolina. Paid for by Jamie Harrison for U.S. Senate.
More than 8,000 children in South Carolina need a caring adult to serve as their voice in family court. The time guardian ad litem volunteers spend investing in these children can change their lives forever. To volunteer, you must be 21 years old, able to pass a background check, and passionate about serving children. Become a guardian ad litem volunteer today and make a difference for tomorrow. For more information on how you can help, visit scgal.org. That's scgal.org.
Sensory sensitivity, repetitious behavior, lack of eye contact. You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Fox Sports Radio 1400, WCOS Columbia, an iHeart radio station.
It's time for Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan.
Ready, set. Just call me Swanee.
Tiger style. Tiger style.
Finally, Clemson Sports Talk has come back to Drive Time. Hello, everybody. Lawton Swan back in the saddle once again. It is the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk for you each and every afternoon as you make your way around the great state of South Carolina and beyond, listening to us on incredible radio stations like Fox Sports Radio 1400 the Midlands, Sports Radio 100.1 The Fan in Florence, 920 AM in Manning. Look, we're trying to drive that number up. We want to get 100. That's the goal. We've never done it. We've been in the 40s. We may have been over 100 on one of the little weekend shows that we'll do, but never for the live show out of the gates. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. We'd love to have you come in, like, share, subscribe, host a watch party. Tell your friends and neighbors and your friends' neighbors about the Hurry Up, No Huddle Sports Talk Express that rolls through on Facebook every afternoon. I had somebody that listens to the program say, hey, Swanee, some issues with the levels on the callers versus you. So we're working on that. That's part of the game when you talk about doing the show from the Palatial 108 studios and not doing it from iHeartMedia. But nonetheless, I hope it comes off and sounds well. You let us know if you're watching. We'll get your comments up. But again, help us hit 100 viewers at one time. Not 100 viewers for the show. That's easily done. It's at one time, 100 people in here. And I tell you what, I don't know another way to do it, so I'm going to work on some giveaways, I think, to some of those 100 viewers at some point. I just got to figure out the nuances of pulling it off. The nuances of pulling off a victory in Death Valley this weekend for your Clemson Tigers against the Syracuse Orange weren't nearly as easy as I projected or you thought. Perhaps it was the overinflated belief of what Clemson was going to be able to do, given the fact that they looked dazzling in that road matchup against the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets a week prior. Credit Dino Babers. Credit Syracuse. Certainly Clemson had their errors and mistakes that they made. Dabo Swinney talked about those yesterday afternoon. If you are a premium subscriber to ClemsonSportsTalk.com, you've probably already heard those. If you are not a premium subscriber to our website, you will certainly hear those later on in today's program, if not later in the week, depending on the time today. William Qualkenbush in hour number 2. We've got great audio from Ajou Ajou with a story this young man has become at Clemson in the 2020 campaign. So again, share. Help us get it up. Do what you can. I think the best way to go about it on Facebook is to host a watch party. Have that bad boy rocking and rolling right over on your Facebook page so that all your friends and neighbors and friends' neighbors know that we are here for you each and every afternoon. All right, 47-21, the final score this past Saturday in Death Valley. What are our biggest takeaways? Consistency. No matter how good you are, no matter how bad the opponent may be deemed, is incredibly difficult when we talk about 18 to 22-year-old men. I can get the blinders. You can get the blinders. We all can be blinded by the light, so to speak, of the success that the Clemson Tigers have had, to the point of almost getting absurd in the belief of what you think they should look like on every single possession, every single play, every single quarter, every single half, and every single game, okay? Our expectations, their expectations are through the roof. And when they don't perform to that level, it's an uncomfortable place to be. It's a Twilight Zone type moment. We've got a great article over on ClemsonSportsTalk.com right now about that very thing. It's an amazing place to be where when the game is said and done and you are a 26-point victor, you somehow feel like you may have lost that ball game. There's a positiveness or a positivity. Is that the correct phrasing? There's a positiveness.
English. Who needs that? I'm never going to English.
There's something positive about that. How about that, Homer? Homer J. Simpson. 803-450-0086. You could call that number right now. Leave us a message. You could text that number right now and be a part of the program. And it doesn't matter if you're listening to us in the Midlands, the PD, the Low Country, anywhere in the world. You could call that number, leave us a message, text that number, and be a part of the show. There's something positive to the fact that you can win by 26, not look great, but really be in control throughout the ball game, maybe even enough to challenge your team just a little bit, because you need that at some point. If we translate this conversation to one of the NCAA and the NCAA tournament, what do we talk about a lot with teams going into the NCAA tournament? We talk about the fact that these guys need to be challenged. You don't want to go into the NCAA tournament riding some incredible winning streak, feeling like you're invincible, having yet to be tested. You want to taste a little bit of that pressure. Pressure can bust pipes. Pressure can make diamonds. You need a little bit of that before you head up to South Bend, Indiana to take on Notre Dame in 2 weeks. You need a little bit of that before you get into whatever the matchup is in the Atlantic Coast Conference Championship game, assuming you get there. You need a little bit of that before you get into the college football playoff. You need a little bit of that every single season. And it just so happens that in recent years, Syracuse has kind of been that team. And I think part of it is the fact that because Syracuse has been that team, they play with an air of confidence that other teams may not play with. I think that because Syracuse has been that team, Clemson recognizes that they are a team that can challenge you, so it's also in the back of Clemson's mind. And, quite frankly, I think Brent Venables hit the nail on the head. Brent Venables, Clemson defensive coordinator, saying essentially after the game, look, if you're the team that just got beat by Liberty 38-21, and you're a 46.5-point dog, and you've been told all week long how bad you are, you're going to come out and throw some haymakers. Because, look, the guys on the other side from Clemson, they're on scholarship. They may not be as talented. They may not have measured up in the recruiting rankings. But they're just not going to roll into Death Valley and go, oh, right this way. Pardon us, Travis. Were we in your way? Were you trying to run to the end zone? Our bad. Let us just slide out of the way so you can have a free path to the end zone. They were doing some X cuts across the front, mixing up some things on to really bring pressure. I know there was some frustration from the fans that Clemson wasn't more successful. Trevor Lawrence, 27 of 43, 289 yards, 2 touchdowns, offset by 1 interception that was taken to the house. Clemson's defense also got a score, sort of the moment where you exhaled a little bit. Andrew Booth's scoop and score. The Tigers almost had a second interception or a second touchdown defensively where Mike Jones Jr. got an interception and went out of bounds about the 3-yard line inside the 5. And that's the one. I wrote in our predictions article that I thought Clemson would get a defensive score this week. I thought it would be a pick six. It was not. I thought they'd get to Culpepper. They almost did. But the defensive score by Syracuse, a block punt by the Orange, there's some things that Clemson still needs to clean up. But Dabo Swinney said it yesterday, and he's absolutely right. You clean up a couple of those miscues, and it might be 27-0 at the break. Instead, you throw the pick in the 2-minute offense with 1:30 left. And I don't blame Clemson. Look, they could have taken a 24-7 lead to the break. They could have just sat on the football. But when you don't get a ton of chances, a ton of opportunities to run your 2-minute offense, and you've got a chance, why not go for it? And that's what they did. They throw a pick. They get the ball back with like 1:18 left in the first half, drive it down, get a field goal. And Swinney said that was the moment he really appreciated the most because Clemson answered. The Tigers answered the bell in that moment. Again, 47-21, your final score. Clemson dominating the second half, dominating the third quarter, going back to one bad snap, essentially cleaning up the sloppiness from that point forward. Yes, it felt a little bit like the Twilight Zone at times. Yes, they did not appear to be the best team in college football for one weekend. But the consistency that this team plays with has, I believe, has filled all of us with an unrealistic vision of what this team has to be every time out. And yeah, some people would say, you know what, Dabo Swinney got defensive because the questions are negative. But in fairness to the members of the media, if you've covered the last 36 Clemson games, they are 35-1. If you've covered the last 36 Clemson games, there have been just a smidgen of games where they were challenged. So anytime you get a chance to say, hey, what happened there? How was this game not? And, Coach Swinney said, look, we got up 17-0. That's what I saw. Right. But we all saw the other issues that came along with it. And believe me, while publicly Dabo Swinney might be defending his team, privately, he is breaking that film down and giving it to him. Because teachable moments take place in wins and teachable moments take place in losses. And a lot of teachable moments take place in a game that look like that for 3 quarters. But what does it say about your team at the end of the day? 47-21, never felt threatened, all of that. Ant Pruitt chimes in and says, seems like Syracuse always has our number. They're ready to go. And I have a lot of respect for Dino Babers. I want to say that. I'm still saddened by the fact he wouldn't put on my Ray-Bans at the ACC kickoff a couple of years ago. But he's a military guy. I respect that. But I think as far as the culture and the attitude and everything that it takes to build some intestinal fortitude into your kids, I believe Dino Babers is one of the best in the league. It's sort of like if you flip the script just a little bit and you said, hey, Swanee, what do you think Clemson would look like under Dabo Swinney if they just weren't loaded up with talented players? If they didn't have all of these top-ranked guys coming in and being part of the program, what would they look like in a matchup against the top-tier opponent? Save for a handful of games in Swinney's career, Florida State 2013, where the Seminoles just obliterated Clemson inside Death Valley. Outside of maybe the Orange Bowl when West Virginia beat the brakes off of the Tigers. they've been pretty competitive. They just never have gotten just beaten down consistently under Dabo Swinney. They've been pretty competitive. And so outside of a handful of games, I think that's what you would get from them. Competitiveness. And that's what Dino Babers desires. That's what Dino Babers got. And, maybe the more telling thing is that if you said to me, hey, Syracuse is going to turn the ball over 4 times against Clemson, one of which is going to be a fumble return for a score, the other is going to be an interception that's returned to inside the 3. What do you think the final score is going to be? And I'm probably going to give you more in line with what I thought it would be anyway. 60-some-odd to 10. But Lawrence's pick 6, that's accounted for there. A 96-yard drive with a big hit over the top. Brent Venables taking the brunt of that, saying that touchdown, that 83-yard touchdown reception was on me, the one by Nykeem Johnson. He didn't put that on the players. He put it on himself in the scheme. Players today said that's one of the things that they love about him. I think it was Mike Jones Jr. said, the thing I love about Coach V is that he will take responsibility when he truly believes something is his fault. Coach Venables is accountable to the players. If he's going to demand accountability of the players, if he's going to demand that they execute the plays to the best of their ability as consistently as possible, then when he puts them in a bad spot, you know what a man does? You know what a man does? Actually, do you know what not even a man really, but a responsible and decent human being does? They don't cover up their mistakes. They own them. They say, that's on me. My bad, guys. Brent Venables says, my bad, guys. And his players respect that. I respect that. The minute you start to feel like you are being discredited or your abilities are being discredited, but yet in your heart of hearts that it was a bad call or whatever on the field, and your coach doesn't own up to that, if your coach just says, man, Joseph Charleston played that one poorly, but Joseph knows otherwise, it doesn't last long. But being accountable to yourself, to your team, to the players that are underneath you is huge in building the culture and the mindset and the approach that Clemson wants. Travis Etienne with 3 touchdowns on the day, 16 attempts, 86 yards, did not break the all-time rushing mark in the Atlantic Coast Conference. I blame Frosted Flakes. He had to come out of the game in the third quarter, get an IV, was asked about it after the game. He said, man, all I ate was a bowl of Frosted Flakes. Dabo Swinney said yesterday, look, Frosted Flakes are sort of our friends. They're Tigers too. They're great. But apparently you also need to go with a little meat and potatoes. Maybe a little eggs and bacon. Something to give you a little more punch. Far be it from me to tell ETN what he should have for breakfast. But clearly, going into the Syracuse game, Travis Etienne thought that all I need for these guys is a bowl of Frosted Flakes. And apparently it's the most witnessed bowl of Frosted Flakes in the history of college football. Darian Rencher today saying, I saw him eating the bowl of Frosted Flakes. I figured he had more than that. And I'm just going to tell you, I am a big Frosted Flake guy too. It's not one I keep around. If we get Frosted Flakes at this house, Now this is, I'm digging in deep. If I get Frosted Flakes at this house, I go Frosted Flakes, a little bit of milk, whipped cream on top.
How dare you?
It is fantastic. That's how I dare. Next time you get some Frosted Flakes, go Frosted Flakes, little milk, whipped cream on top. Not Cool Whip either. You got to go the spray out of the can. I'm telling you, that'll get you through the show. That'll get you through a football game. That's what ETN was missing. The whipped cream. Aunt Pruitt respects the whipped cream. You know he does. It's big time. Wait till you try it if you haven't. Delicioso. All right, when we come back, oh, Canada. Ajou Ajou was spectacular today during our media time with him. We've got that audio for you next on the show that shakes the Southland.
Here's your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword WIN to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's WIN to 200-200.
Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic. Sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive. Home of the best tire prices in Columbia. Guaranteed. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
A look at traffic shows a wreck this afternoon on Langford at Main Street. We also have a tie-up Alpine Road at the I-20 eastbound on-ramp. Traffic is backed up for about a half mile. The 103.5 FM WVOC traffic tip line is 343-1055.
This report is sponsored by Prisma Health. At Prisma Health, they are making healthcare exceptional for everyone across the Midlands and upstate. With more access to care, research innovations, and patient education, they're committed to helping you be your healthiest you. Learn more at prismahealth.org/inspired.
iHeartRadio salute to veterans with Jason Aldean.
I just want to say a big thank you to our vets and active military for your service.
This Veterans Day, hear stories from the heroes themselves. Download and subscribe to the Vets You Should Know wherever you listen to podcasts.
Ford has a long history of supporting our service members. Now, Ford is continuing that tradition with Proud to Honor, an initiative supporting military organizations such as Disabled American Veterans and Blue Star families. Learn more at FordProudToHonor.com.
Kirk Commercial Construction is a licensed general contractor in South Carolina. Since 2011, Chris Kirk, a Columbia native with 20 years of construction experience, has believed in meeting his customers' needs. Kirk Commercial Construction is capable of performing any retail or office expansion, new construction, metal building, or commercial renovation work. In addition to Kirk's commercial construction projects, their service division can assist you with commercial and maintenance tasks. If you need it done right, call 803-250-2495 or kirkcommercialconstruction.com.
Well, I'm 67 years old. I lost 71 pounds. I was a size 46 pants 2 years ago, and I've been taking it, and I'm a size 36 pants now.
Congratulations, Pat, on losing 71 pounds and 10 inches off your waistline. Now listen to Brian's results.
My sleeping is better. My joint pains are much better, and the weight loss is coming along. I'm about 13 to 14 pounds lighter. It has reduced my sugar cravings big time. Sugar cravings and reduced joint pains, and those two are big time.
Outstanding results, Brian. Guys, since 2004, men have chosen Andro 400 for one reason: results. Andro 400 can help you safely lose belly fat, reduce joint pain, gain energy, and boost your testosterone. We guarantee it. Start today and get free shipping on any order. Go to andro400.com for more true testimonials, before and after photos, and special discounts. Only available on andro400.com. andro400.com.
Many people never believe that they will need a lawyer to help them navigate our legal system. Then one day, you need just that. When you've been injured, the deck is stacked against you, and you need an advocate to stand up for your rights. William Alexander focuses his practice on assisting those who have been injured in car wrecks and other personal injuries, helping you get your life back on track. Call today for your case strategy, 803-571-0039, or visit them online, whalawoffice.com. The law office of William H. Alexander is licensed in South Carolina and Georgia. Principally located at 222 Main Street in Barnwell.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. But he's a part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. No time for tired. Nothing can disable this love. He needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community.
Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Clemson Sports Talk. Join the show in the chat room at clemsonsportstalk.com.
The show that shakes the Southland. Yeah, I don't know. The music there kind of rough. Like bringing you in on a Monday. Screaming. 803-450-0086. That's the text line. We got a message from Mike listening to the program in Lexington today. Mike, we'll get to your comments in just a few minutes. I want to get out to Ajou Ajou. One of the beautiful things about this job, one of the great things that we get to do with this is to meet these players. And even though you peel back the layers a little bit on these guys, you don't know everything about them. And, I think one of the reasons that occasionally it makes it so difficult for members of the media when a guy has some trouble off the field or, runs into, and somebody will say, well, what was going on? Like, how did you not, did you know that anything was up, going on with this kid? Typically, no, you don't. Because we get to know them, but we don't know them. But man, the genuineness of Ajou Ajou today and listening to his conversations with the media, and there were a ton of people from Canada on the call. Just a young man at wide receiver for Clemson, another name that maybe 95% of the college sports populace did not know, kind of like Travis Etienne didn't know 3-4 years ago when he first started his career. Ajou Ajou, I think, sort of the same. A lot of people aren't going to say, yeah, man, I remember when Ajou Ajou was coming out of high school. No, you don't. No, you don't. Now you got this kid from Canada who moved down to Clearwater to play football, and I believe it was Clearwater Academy, if my memory serves me correctly. Sort of a freakishly gifted athlete. Comes in, beginning to make his name known a little bit in year one. Obviously, that's been opened up by injuries to Joseph Ngata, by the fact that Justin Ross is not playing this season. But a young man that every single day seems to be getting better and better in this Clemson Tiger offense. Here's what Ajou Ajou had to say. He was asked by a member of the Canadian media. He was asked about what it's like to be a part of a major brand, national football brand like Clemson.
It's crazy for sure. I mean, like, as you said, coming from Brooks, like I'm just super thankful. You know what I mean? Like, you can't really ask for much more than this.
Cannot really ask for much more than this. And I will tell you, for whatever reason, during his Zoom, there was some audio issues. So you might hear a little hiccup here and there along the way. Ajou Ajou was also asked about another Canadian playing college football, Chuba Hubbard, the star running back at Oklahoma State, one of the top 10 teams in the country. Chuba Hubbard, who rushed for over 2,000 yards a season ago for the Cowboys. Here's what Ajou had to say about Chuba and his influence on his game.
I remember I was at home in Edmonton, and I'm watching Chuba get his first touchdown, and it's like, wow, like one day, I promise you, one day I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there. They're gonna be talking about me like they talk about him. And then, like, fast forward like a year and a half later, boom, I'm getting all these offers and stuff, and I'm like, whoa, like it happened so fast. You know what I mean? Like it's just crazy to think, because like I remember he came back after his first season, and we're talking at I think it was the Senior Bowl. Yeah, but we're talking at the Senior Bowl, and he's like, hey man, just stay working and don't worry, you got it. You got big things coming for you. And then kind of just spoke it into existence.
Spoke it into existence. And one of the things that I think is really great to hear, and something I think is tough to recognize, maybe from the, just being an American covering this sport and covering college sports in general, is what appears, or at least feels like, a much more smaller window of individuals who can achieve this type. It seems like it's a tighter bond for those kids from Canada. They know each other through the circuits that they've run in, and some of the, I guess you would call these, the outfits that are kind of producing collegiate players. It's a smaller pool, and thus they know each other. Ajou was also asked about his mom and his dad, who both work in like a meat facility, I believe is how he explained it. But just talking about what it's been like for his mom to have his son really taken two countries by storm. Certainly playing for Clemson has expanded his profile in the United States, and he hasn't done a whole lot yet. But in Canada, I'm telling you, by the number of Canadian media members that were on the call, Ajou Ajou is absolutely a big deal. Here's what he said about what his mom is feeling right now with all this going on.
My mom is my biggest supporter. She motivates me the most. She doesn't really notice, like she knows that like I'm doing good, but like she doesn't really know like how big it is yet. So I'm gonna just keep working, and then she'll understand when I really make it.
So he says his mom really doesn't know, doesn't have a clue really what's going on or how big this could potentially be for him. Ajou Ajou there in Tigertown earlier today talking. We got a fantastic article up. It takes a village. Ajou Ajou loves Clemson, and Clemson loves him back. Head over to our website, clemsonsportstalk.com. The entire interview with Ajou is up as well over there. We'll have more of that coming up here on the program in just a few minutes. But I think, the thing for me listening to that, and the thing for me recognizing what I hear in that young man is the same thing I heard 4 years ago when Travis Etienne was a freshman at Clemson. And that is a young man who is going to be driven, focused. He's going to be purposeful in his growth as a student athlete. And I think you've got a rising star. I really do. You just hear it. There have been guys I have interviewed. I will not name the names here on the program. There have been guys that I have interviewed throughout my career and doing this some 15 plus years covering your Clemson Tigers, where when we wrapped up the interview, I thought, oof, this guy's gonna have trouble riding this thing out collegiately. Sometimes they did. Sometimes they surprised me. Come back, we'll hear from Mike in Lexington next.
Group training is a fun, accountable way to get in shape. I'm Coach Stewart of Dynamic Health and Fitness. Come train with one of our special groups today. We will focus on giving you the support you need to get in shape. We use the Dynamic Mob, featuring intervals of cardio, functional training, and strength training to change your lifestyle to make you healthy. Get started today at any of our locations in Lexington or West Columbia, or call 803-408-4060 or online at dynamichealthclub.com.
Lindsey Graham talks about what's at stake in this election.
Liberals like Jamie Harrison see the world in a radically different way. They want to expand the court with liberal judges and fundamentally change who we are and what we believe. We can't let that happen. They believe government can solve all of our problems. I don't. They believe in open borders, free health care for illegals, and late-term abortion. I don't. They want to defund the police. I never will.
Jamie Harrison is spending $100 million to defeat Lindsey Graham. $100 million to remake his own liberal image and smear Lindsey Graham. Don't be fooled by the lies and smears. Harrison's campaign is funded by Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, and liberals in Hollywood because they want control. Don't let outsiders buy South Carolina.
I'm Lindsey Graham, candidate for the United States Senate. I approve this message because a conservative Supreme Court is worth fighting for.
Paid for by Team Graham.
Here's your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword WIN to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's WIN to 200-200.
Live from the $1,500 instant rebate AAA Heating and Air Weather Center.
Some clouds tonight with lows in the upper 50s. Tomorrow, early fog. Then it'll be sunny with highs in the upper 70s. For Channel 25, ABC Columbia, I'm Chief Meteorologist John Farley.
This report is sponsored by Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina Service Benefit Plan. They say defense wins championships. Defense protects your health too. If you're a federal employee in South Carolina, active or retired, the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Service Benefit Plan packs a wallop. Learn more at fepblue.org. We've been standing beside federal employees since 1960.
They'll challenge your authority. They'll try to break your will. They'll push you to the edge of your sanity. Because that's what kids do. But this car is your territory, not theirs. Defend it. Who makes the payments? Who cleans it? Who drives it? You do. That's who. And in here, your word is law. So when you say you won't move until everyone's buckled up, you won't budge an inch until you hear that click. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. For more information, visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
You're bringing your daughter to a pop concert. Do you A, wear earplugs?
Isn't this fun, Dad?
I have a soft pretzel.
Or B, just roll with it?
Justin! OMG! I love you, Justin! I love you!
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on adoption, visit adoptuskids.org. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Fox Sports Radio 1400. Serving Columbia at 1400. And the world on the iHeartRadio app.
Now that is more my speed on a Monday afternoon, the show that shakes the Southland. Lawton Swan with you. Like, share, subscribe. Do it now. We didn't reach our goal again today. We came up short. And it doesn't matter. See, here's the thing that I think can be tricky for people. So, like, you might be on one platform. You know, again, you can listen on the iHeartRadio app. We podcast the show. Think about it. That's like essentially like time travel.
21 gigawatts!
Because you listen when you want to listen, where you want to listen. You can do it. But if you're watching on one platform, and like if you're on YouTube, I know there are not a lot of people watching. So you might go, well, why am I going to share it? There's only going to be 3 people. Wherever you're watching, if you share it, what I see, the number I see on my screen is across all platforms. We did not reach our goal today. And typically that goal comes hot right out of the gate, 4 o'clock. So if you share it, host a watch party, do all that. Tell everybody, say, listen, come see the best looking man in radio. I mean, that's not hyperbole. Can we be honest about that?
Oh, nice guy.
All right, Mike, listen to the program. He says, Swanee, I just wonder if opposing defensive have figured to shut out Travis Etienne and Rodgers and make the rest of the wide receivers make plays. You know, Mike, it's a great question because, again, we did see what I would call minimization of Travis Etienne this weekend by the defense's approach. We heard that in the answers from Tony Elliott, just in the discussions about, you know, what Syracuse was trying to do specifically to take him out of the game, where I believe a bit of frustration crops up for Clemson Tiger fans comes from the fact that if, and before I go too far into the weeds on this, we're talking about a 26-point victory, okay, before we get too deep in on this. But you know, when you think about what these guys are trying to do against this team, they don't seem, Clemson at least, doesn't seem to be concerned. Tony Elliott said, so we talk about it all the time. Our standard is set. We know what the standard is. Today, we didn't quite play up to that standard. We'll go back and watch the film, and it won't be as bad as you think. Coach Swinney confirmed that. He said, look, it's never as good or as bad as you think. You know that. I know that. We all know that. As a matter of fact, watching that game, from my perspective, which is much different than the fan perspective, I never got squirrely at all. I was just kind of like, all right, here you go. Getting tested again. Got to play your game. Got to play well. Can't panic. Don't get all, my wife and my son, they're getting a little bit antsy about it. I'm like, relax. You're going to face some adversity. But if you have the right mindset, you can traverse moments like that and games like that and still come out victorious. ETN was out for most of the third quarter because he had to get that IV. That might also play into some of his numbers being a little bit down and at the end of the day just having, 86 yards? But I mean, what would you do? Like, again, Mike, I don't think you're wrong. That's what I would do. I would try to take away those two guys, and I would say, all right, beat us with everybody else. Make Frank Ladson start making those catches over the top. The good thing for Clemson is you saw Davis Allen again get into the end zone. Braden Galloway's talent level. The tight end suddenly emerging. Clemson also still doesn't seem to be quite right behind Travis Etienne, in my opinion. And what I mean by that is I think Lin Jay's comparing himself to Travis. Tony Elliott said that today as well. Just essentially getting into the fact that, look, when you have to focus on you, he said, don't worry about Travis, focus on you. He said, quote, when I say that, what I mean is that they all want to produce. They all want to have big plays in the running game, and sometimes they can press too much. So there was a play on Saturday where the coaching staff felt like Lin J. Dixon tried to bounce it to the outside when he would have done better going between the tackles and really hitting the hole. And that is something where I think because they see ETN hit these big home runs, these other players want to do the same. 803-450-0086. Lots of great content coming up here on the program. William Qualkenbush in hour number 2 will get his reaction to Clemson's weekend matchup against Syracuse. Again, I said it before the game. And I just got a text message a few minutes ago as well from John in Archdale. He says, Swanee, we are spoiled. We're spoiled. And I don't deny that, John, at all, do I? And it's hard to hear sometimes. It's hard to have honest conversations with yourself. It's hard to have a self-evaluation and recognize that you have won 35 out of 36 games. You've been in the college football playoff consistently. You're the number one team in the country. You expect to get back there. You're spoiled. But it's all right. That's okay. Like, there are some people that just can't address the truth about things. It's okay that you're spoiled. You have to enjoy these moments. Because eventually, like I said, and I'll play the clip if you want to hear it. Some of you were here on Friday. You know what? We're going to hit the reset button. I'm going to play a little snippet from Friday's show for the spoiled Tiger fans around me so that you guys can better, handle being spoiled. Stay with us.
I'm Jamie Harrison, candidate for the United States Senate, and I approve this message.
Before you vote, know the facts about who's on the ballot. Lindsey Graham can't be trusted. He tells us he opposes abortion, then votes for 2 of Obama's pro-choice Supreme Court justices. Lindsey Graham's word is worthless. But beware, right-wing Constitution Party candidate Dr. Bill Bledsoe is also on the ballot. Bledsoe talks about owning a small business and rescuing bald eagles. But Bledsoe opposes all abortions, and Bledsoe never wavered on Donald Trump. He supported Trump from day one. Bledsoe held gun rallies across South Carolina claiming that any gun control law infringes upon the Second Amendment and the rights of citizens to arm and defend themselves. Dr. Bill Bledsoe, no abortions, no restrictions on guns, none, and pro-Trump from day one. Bill Bledsoe's just too conservative for South Carolina. Paid for by Jamie Harrison for U.S. Senate.
13 days of Halloween. One story a night, starting October 19th, ending on Halloween. Produced in immersive 3D audio that you'll have to hear to believe. And starring Keegan-Michael Key as the caretaker.
This, my friend, is Hawthorne Manor. I am its caretaker.
From iHeartRadio and Blumhouse Television, listen to Aaron Mankey's 13 Days of Halloween on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Malcolm Gladwell, podcaster, bestseller, philosophizer.
Kevin Hart, comedian, author, motivator.
Both of us on the new Audible.
Audible's got everything. Podcasts.
Got 'em.
Audiobooks.
Got 'em.
Original series.
Got them.
All in one place.
Wait a minute. Is an app a place?
Not in a literal sense, but you can literally go to audible.com and try it out on us for 30 days.
That is figuratively mind-blowing.
Mom and teacher, Anna Coleman. I want my family to be safe. I want my community to be safe. That's number one for me. Jamie Harrison is part of this liberal culture that is tearing our country apart. His party won't stand up to the burning and looting of our cities. They want to defund the police. I mean, defund the police? That's just crazy. So there's just no way I can vote for Jamie Harrison. Sheriff Hobart Lewis.
The rioting, the looting, the chaos. If Jamie Harrison is elected to the Senate, get ready, because it's coming. Harrison stands with the radicals who want to defund the police. Heck, he'd be another vote for Chuck Schumer and the liberals. Jamie Harrison has zero experience and dangerous ideas. Come on, that's not what South Carolina needs. We need real experience and support for law enforcement. We need Senator Lindsey Graham to keep our communities safe.
Security is Strength Pack, paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. SecurityIsStrength.com.
Hey, America. We need to have a little talk. I don't know if you've noticed, but we got a lot of food in this country. A lot of peaches, a lot of corn, a lot of apples, a lot of everything. We've got so much food that we can't even eat it all. So if we got all this extra food, how are 17 million kids in America struggling with hunger? I just don't get it. That's why the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks gathers surplus food and gets it to the hungry kids who need it. They can get you food even if you live in Idaho or Alaska or somewhere crazy like that. This isn't complicated. We got extra food and we've got hungry kids. Feeding America's done the math. Now it's your turn. Support Feeding America in your local food bank at feedingamerica.org. I know you got internet on your phone, so what are you waiting for? We can't do it without your help. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Fox Sports Radio 1400. Online at foxsportsradio1400.com. On your phone with the iHeartRadio app. And on hundreds of devices like Alexa, Google Home, Xbox, and Sonos. An iHeartRadio station.
Welcome back, Penn State. How about that? Oh man, what a tough way to lose the opener. Number 8 Penn State falling to Indiana. In, out. Man, there were a lot of good games this weekend. Ohio State looked the part. Again, South Carolina, you can't figure these guys out. There's a great meme from the SEC shorts, or a meme or a video or whatever, just sort of a mockumentary on being a South Carolina fan for Halloween. And it's something. It's something. I saw a lot of Gamecocks watching it as well. All right, but I gave you the truth on Friday's show, if you weren't here, about being a Clemson fan and why I don't want to hear it. Why I don't want to hear it from Clemson fans. Here we go. Give me a break. I'm bored. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it from a single Clemson Tiger fan. If you're bored, go find another team. I mean, what's the alternative? You know who's not bored this season? LSU fans. They're not bored. They're ticked off. They might drop to 1-3 with the South Carolina Gamecocks rolling in and putting a little something on them tomorrow night. But you're bored. I'm bored. I'm bored just beating people's brains in. Whose fault is that? Go throw on Tommy West seasons and come back and talk to me about being bored. Go watch my junior year at Clemson when they were 3-8 and thankful that we won a third game. Talk to me about being bored. You'd be wishing you were bored the next time Clemson gets smacked around on the gridiron. You got to call in this show crying about how I don't understand how we got beat by a team when we were a 46.5-point favorite. I guess because you were bored. Yeah, that guy knows what he's talking about. That guy is smart. That clip's over on our Twitter account if you want to check it out. And again, for Clemson, it wasn't a perfect game by any means. But it's a 26-point victory. You've got young players making their way up. You've got young players improving, getting more and more playing time. You're into the back half of the season. That means those freshmen now, especially on that defensive front, have to kind of mature into young sophomores and be more equipped on a regular basis to impact the game. So we were listening to some quotes from Ajou Ajou a little bit earlier. We didn't get a chance to get through them all. They're really amazing. I hope you'll go check out the article on ClemsonSportsTalk.com. We'd love to have you subscribe and be a part of what we do and help us continue to, not just have the most digital content covering your Clemson Tigers, but to have really a family of Clemson Tiger fans that hang out with us. And that's online, on the air, through the podcast. All right, let's see. Michael hits us up today listening to the program. He says, I agree, Lawton. Enjoy it because you never know when you'll walk into your 10-10 class and Dabo Swinney. Okay. You got to help me out. Michael, hit me up again. Hit me up on that again. I think what he's saying is that when he walked into a 10-10 class at Clemson, Danny Ford got fired. And he says, you never know when that day will happen, even to a guy like Dabo Swinney. I think that's what you're trying to say, Michael. Clearly you were using talk to text. But I believe that's what you were trying to say. Back to Ajou Ajou here briefly before we hit a break. We'll hear the rest of Ajou Ajou in hour number 2. But he was asked about that first visit to Clemson. And there's a great picture on our website right now if you go to the article of him taking a selfie in Death Valley. Here's what Ajou had to say about that moment.
Most definitely. I would like, the moment he offered me, I wanted to say, yeah, I'm committed, but he's the one who said, I don't want you to commit now. I want you to go look at your options. You're still new to this, So, but I already knew. I definitely already knew that I was coming here.
Think about that. Swinney told him, even though the kid wanted to commit, no, go see everything else, then let us know. That's another reason Clemson's winning right now on the recruiting trail. As ridiculous as that thought process might sound, it absolutely plays great for the parents. Here's what he said, what it was about that visit that made the difference.
I mean, it's not even it wasn't even the school really. Yes, the school, but like just the people. And when you're driving in Clemson, like we took the back road, right? So it was like just like country and like farms, you know what I mean? And it's like, wow, it's looking like kind of like Brooks, you know what I'm saying? Like my hometown. And I was like, whoa. So like I heard the population here is 14,000, you know, and Brooks' population is 14,000. So I'm like, you know, you really can't make this up. I was just connecting the dots really. And then on top of that, I came here and it's just like, everyone's nice. Everyone just wants to see you grow and win. And it's kind of like Brooks in a sense. Cause like, you know, it takes a village to raise a child, you know what I mean? So like just the coaches and stuff, just like the way they help me and like make sure I'm good and like in anything, you know, I just love that.
Ajou speaking earlier today, not only with the Clemson media contingent, also a heavy contingent of Canadian media members as well. Again, a young man who has a fascinating story. We'll hear more about his first touchdown at Clemson, what it's like to be at Clemson. We'll give you some insight into his thoughts on Trevor Lawrence. Plus, hour number 2, we lead it off. You know it, here on a Monday. William Qualkenbush joins us. He'll give us his thoughts on the weekend that was for the Clemson Tigers. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about some of the other games in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State. Who's that fourth team that's out there in your opinion? Who's Qualk thinks that is that fourth team right now? We'll talk about all that and more when we get back. Stay with us.
Sports Talk with Lawton Swan on Columbia's home for sports. Fox Sports Radio 1400. Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire prices in Columbia, guaranteed. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
A wreck on Corley Mill at 378 has traffic backed up over a mile. Other tie-ups, I-20 eastbound at the Monticello Road exit. The 103.5 FM WVOC traffic tip line is 343-1055.
This report is sponsored by Attorney Bill Green and the Green Team.
If you're in a wreck, you have enough to deal with these days. Call the Bill Green Law Firm. We're here to help.
Always think green when you collide. Call 771-2455. Here we go.
2821 Millwood Avenue, Columbia, South Carolina.
iHeartRadio's Why I'm Voting, countdown to Election Day. Your vote is your voice. These basketball stars explain the issues important to them come Election Day. Here's Aaron Gordon.
The discrepancies in white America and black America is only going to get more apparent until there's change.
Donovan Mitchell.
And then education. People don't understand certain things about our history. That's one thing that we can continue to work on. That way everybody has a better understanding of what's going on in the world.
And Chris Paul.
Voter suppression is real. Until we get the right people in these certain seats to make these decisions, we're going to let our voices be heard louder than ever.
Now, why are you voting? Dove Men Plus Care and the National Basketball Players Association are speaking out against racism, social injustice, and a number of other issues facing black men this election. Your vote will help create a society where black men are respected, supported, and protected. Learn how to join us and take action in your community at committocarenow.com.
When you get in your car, you need the best directions to get where you want to be.
Will arrive at your retirement in 8 years.
The same is true for your retirement. You need a voice to guide you along the way. Join Pat Strube for Save Your Retirement with Pat Strube. Pat's 18 years of experience can help make your retirement journey feel like a drive down easy street.
Arriving at your retirement.
Saturdays, 6 a.m. on Fox Sports Radio. And Saturdays at noon and Sundays at 9 on 560 WVOC for Save Your Retirement with Pat Strube.
If you've been waiting for a sign to know when it's time to buy a new home, here it is. Great Southern Homes Mad Money Extravaganza. Receive up to $10,000 in incentives on select homes. Visit GreatSouthernHomes.com, find your new home, and talk to a new home community representative to discover the amount of mad money on the home you've longed for. But hurry, you must close on your new home by December 31st, 2020. Make your dream home a reality with Mad Money Extravaganza at GreatSouthernHomes.com.
If you're concerned about making sure your vote is counted this election, then it's important you know the guidelines specific to your state. For example, some states don't offer early voting. Some states need a witness or notary signature for an absentee ballot. Others require a mail-in ballot to have a secrecy sleeve, or your vote will be rejected. Check your state website or visit voter.tip/iHeart for details on early voting and criteria for absentee voting. And please, read your ballot instructions carefully.
This is Nnamdi Asamoah. I play football for the Philadelphia Eagles, but what I do off the field with United Way might be more important. I'm a volunteer tutor and mentor. Why? Because over 1 million kids a year drop out of school, and that's not okay. It takes 12 years to create a graduate, but it takes about the same time to create a dropout. And the difference between a child becoming one or the other could be me, or it could be you. Studies show that if we get to these kids earlier, their chances are better. And kids who read well by 3rd grade are more likely to graduate. So join me in United Way. Suit up and take the pledge. Become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor. Because when a child succeeds, we all succeed. Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Take the pledge at unitedway.org. Brought to you by United Way, the Ad Council, and the National Football League.
Fox Sports Radio 1400, WCOR Columbia, an iHeart radio station.
It's time for Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan.
Ready, set. Just call me Swanee.
Tiger style. Tiger style.
It is hour number 2. That's drive time right here on the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk. Lawton Swan with you. You know it. 5 o'clock. Well, I say 5 o'clock for the folks in the Midlands. 7 o'clock for the folks in the PD and the Low Country. William Qualkenbush joins us. So depending on where you are, world, in the time continuum, space-time continuum, that's when Qualks joins us. I know it's hour 2, though, where you are. Qualt, what's up, big guy? How you been?
Swanee, I've been good. You kind of threw me for a loop there because I had to triple-check my watch to see what time it actually was.
Yeah.
But other than that, I feel like I'm in the right spot.
You are. We run in tape delay in a couple of markets, and if I ever say the actual time, I'm really squirrely. And believe me, if there's like a baseball game or something going on, the NBA was bad for me. Believe me, because I'm having to talk about games that are going to be 2 hours from now somewhere else. And people are going to be like, that game ended. Hey, that game's already over. It happens. It's the perils of radio,
I do feel
Qualt.
like Dabo, though. I just want to double check that I'm in the right spot. And I feel like as long as I double check I'm in the right spot, I'm good.
A little bit of a Twilight Zone moment, I think, for Dabo at the press conference. But I said this, and I wrote an article about it. In fairness to the media members that cover this team, Qualt, they have won 35 out of 36 games. If you ever get to really ask a question about anything that's, quote, gone wrong, it's normally you're having to nitpick to find things. That game just didn't feel like your typical Clemson game during this 36-game run.
I see Dabo's point, but I'm going to start by saying I agree with you 100% that when you get an entire fan base to buy into best as a standard, props on that, by the way, Dabo, it clearly worked because we know what best looks like, and when it doesn't look like best, people start asking questions. If best is a standard, why not? I mean, I had to field all these questions. If best is the standard, why are the coaches not giving the players the best plays to run? I mean, so there's all kinds of tricky things about who gets to define what best is and all this stuff. I mean, the reality is, and I talked about it today, if we were getting best this game, Travis Etienne would have had bacon, eggs, and sausage for breakfast, but he thought he could get away with Frosted Flakes. And this is a guy that's gone through 50 pregames. And why do you think all of a sudden it was the game when they were 46-point favorites against Syracuse and not on national TV against Miami or national TV against Notre Dame or national TV against Alabama or Ohio State or some other team like that, where he decides to experiment with a bowl of breakfast cereal? I mean, it's silliness. Of course there was a lack of focus. Of course the energy level was low, like Trevor Lawrence said. Maybe not from the jump, like Trevor was saying, but at 17-0, they took their foot off the gas. And so those are obviously, those are questions worth asking. I just think there's no question that we can be critical of that because we've been told that best is the standard, and when it's not best, then we need to find out why. On the other hand, I see Dabo's perspective on this because he feels like he's got the opportunity over the course of time to build up for himself a nice little resume of like some natty rings and a million conference championships and whatever the case may be. And he wants us to treat it, I used this analogy on the show today, he wants us to treat it like a trip to a restaurant where somebody asks us, how was the meal? And all we can talk about is how it tasted. And you know what? Winning tastes good. We don't know what happened in the back. We don't know if 3 chefs resigned. We don't know if they dropped 2 of our steaks on the floor. We don't know if they ruined the first one, and so this is the second effort because the chef was so bad. We don't know if the manager was on the phone for an hour because her husband's trying to get a divorce, or if somebody's kid got an F in school, or somebody's distracted. We don't have any idea what happened in the back.
Right.
We don't know what happened in the kitchen. We don't know what kind of day our server had, Swanee. And nobody's asking us to know that. All they're asking us is, was the steak good? And as long as I have a good steak, my answer is yes, my steak was good. Dabo is basically saying, if the steak's good, it's good. Don't worry about what's happening in the back. I'll take care of that. When Gene Sapikoff asked him, are you concerned about the lack of push from the offensive line? He said, no, I'm not. To me, that was a statement that, of course it wasn't great today, but I'm not concerned long-term because I'm going to fix it.
Yeah.
And that's where I think Dabo has a little bit of a disconnect between the media and fans who are critical sometimes, is that I think he wants the benefit of the doubt like a restaurant, that as long as the food tastes good, then we're okay with it and not worry about what's happening behind the scenes that he's going to handle.
Well, and I guess it's similar to the situation. Like, okay, so you know what a Big Mac looks like on the commercial, and you know what it looks like when you actually get it. But even if that Big Mac is delicious when you actually get it, you don't ever go back and tell, even if you're eating in the restaurant, you don't walk up to them and go, I just want to tell you guys, that Big Mac was spectacular. But if there was a hair or if that thing didn't have enough lettuce, you'd go up and say something. So, there was a little light lettuce on that Big Mac on Saturday, and Tiger fans and the media wanted to let him know.
Well, you know what? I agree. And that's the thing. Greatness is not news at Clemson anymore. We talk about it all the time. Greatness is not news. And so that's why nobody's asking Dabo about how great such and such was, because it's not news, because they're great every week. Talk about the newest greatness from ETN or talk about the newest greatness from Trevor. I mean, those are easy questions. Those are, frankly, softball questions that other media groups around the nation would laugh at Clemson beat writers for asking. Here's another thing, too. I listened to that press conference. It wasn't nearly as negative as Dabo's quote would suggest, number one. Number two, the questions weren't even that, accusatory. Anna Hickey's question about the energy level came because Trevor Lawrence said the energy was low.
Yeah.
So she basically was asking Dabo to confirm or deny what Trevor said, and Dabo emphatically denied that the energy level was a problem, where we know that probably he went in the locker room going, we got to get the energy level back up. Well, we know that was true. The other thing is, Dabo's opening statement, legit, it said everything good. What were you supposed to ask him after he talked for 9 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it was, about how great everything was and how great everybody played? There was nothing else to probe there. He took care of all the good. So when it came time to ask questions, what he hadn't addressed yet was some of the specific issues that people saw in the game. So I am full-throated defending the media and the approach to the questions for Dabo, even as I understand what Dabo would like us to do with his press conferences and post-game after a game where you got 450 yards, you held the other team to 325, the best takeaway team in the conference, you only gave it away once, you were +3 in turnovers, you converted on third down, you didn't give up a single drive. I mean, the longest drive was 96 yards on 4 plays. It was one big play.
Yeah.
You had a short field and a defensive touchdown. Defense was lights out. Those are the things that Dabo's like, if those are true, then just tell me the steak was good. And just be happy that your steak was good. And so I do feel like, again, I'm beating a dead horse here a little bit, but that's where the disconnect comes in, because we want to make sure that everything in the back was okay. And Dabo's like, nah, man, I'm going to tell you what was good about this, and then we'll just fix what's wrong. Y'all trust us.
Qualk, how much do you like Brent Venables, just from his willingness to accept responsibility? He kind of talked about that today, or at least Mike Jones Jr. did, that, one of the things the players really respect is he felt like on that 83-yard play, it was a bad call on his part. And, I think he said something to the effect that he just wanted to go home and punch himself in the face. How much do you like having a guy like that being your defensive coordinator?
Yeah, I was about to say, next time I commit an error in slow pitch softball or, pop out to the third baseman or whatever, I'm just going to go home and punch myself in the face. I feel like that's the new form of accountability there. I mean, isn't it great that you got a guy with that high of a standard? I mean, if you're a Clemson fan, you got to love that. If you're a player, let me tell you something. If you're a player, you got to love that too, because Clemson as a program has had some really good defenses over time, but there's always one, even with Brent Venables, there's always one stinker. And so if your stinker comes on Saturday with what they gave up, then I'm going to tell you something. Good things are ahead for Clemson football, because that was far from, giving up 6,000 yards to Jake Bentley on Thanksgiving weekend. That's far from the Pittsburgh game, shovel pass game, where Matt Canada was dialing it up and Peterman was throwing it all over the field. That's far from even Glennon. I'm using all Gruden's quarterbacks here. Old Glennon was throwing it for 500 yards against Taj Boyd in the gang in Venables' first season. Those are all, to me, those are all really bad performances. I mean, he's frustrated about a couple things that, big picture, aren't even that big of a deal. I mean, you think South Carolina would like to have some of the issues that Brent Venables is having? You think Will Muschamp want to go punch himself in the face? Imagine with the Brent Venables standard, he'd have punched himself in the face after about halfway through the first quarter. I mean, that's kind of that's the thing, is that the bar is set so high with Venables that it feels almost like nothing gets through, nobody ever gets complacent, and you got to love it, because that's how championships are made.
William Qualkenbush is with us every afternoon in hour number 2, or every Monday in hour number 2. We hope you don't want to punch yourself in the face when he joins us here on the program. If you do, follow him on Twitter at Qualk Talk. It's a fantastic follow. And again, I think the other takeaway from this game for me is it's a 26-point win, Qualk. You threw a pick six. You had a block punt. I mean, to overcome that, Coach Sweeney's right on this front. To overcome that and to win the way Clemson wins just tells you a little bit about the makeup of this team.
Swanee, I've got a little bit of a theory here, and I'm not sure if it's right or wrong. Not sure, but it's a theory nonetheless that I think is legit. I think Dabo expected struggles. He even said after the game, we knew, and I think he even said this in his Tuesday press conference as well. I'd have to go back and listen, but he knew that there were going to be issues that Syracuse was going to provide that didn't show up on the Liberty tape. And so what fans saw was, hey, Liberty rushed for over 300. Travis is about to have a field day. I mean, we were talking about how quick does Trevor get out? How many touchdown passes Hunter Helmut had? Is this a make or break for Pumachan or something? We're talking about that.
Right.
How many running backs get in the game? How many receivers catch passes? All that stuff. I think Dabo knew full well that they were going to get a different scheme and a different game plan and a different team on the other sideline. And, couple that with not playing your best game, I think Dabo understood better than anybody that Syracuse is capable of some things. Those things have not shown up the last 2 weeks, in particular against Duke and Liberty. But go back to the North Carolina game. They made Sam Howell look pretty pedestrian. I mean, nobody did a better job against Sam Howell until the Florida State game of limiting him and shutting him down. That was a 10-7 game, and if Tommy DeVito could, keep from throwing passes like you're skipping rocks across a lake, then they might have been able to actually do something in that game. But the reality is, Syracuse, their scheme is a little bit unique. They forced turnovers all year. You didn't give the ball away. Trevor was not clicking on all cylinders. He threw some balls to guys that weren't open, but you had the interception on a ball that was not supposed to, probably shouldn't have been thrown, and then the other interception that was dropped on an overthrown ball by the safety there in the middle of the field. Other than that, you were making good decisions. But, to your point about Dabo, you have all these things go wrong. You were able to play well enough that the game wasn't even – it wasn't even the outcome wasn't in question at the end. You still got to play your backup. And I think that's what Dabo wants people to understand is hey, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, we played this game. It's tight in the fourth quarter. 2 years ago in 2018 with Chase Bryce in the game, this game's tight in the fourth quarter. We make all these mistakes and don't play well. So that shows the growth in the program, and I think that's something that Dabo doesn't want people to miss on the climb that this program's still on.
William Qualkenbush here on the show that shakes the Southland on a Monday afternoon. All right, Qualt, let's turn our attention away from Clemson for a few minutes and turn it to the Big Ten, a league that came online this past weekend. First, your initial takeaways from what you got to see from Ohio State. Did they appear to be at 1-0, the third best team in the country after 1 week?
I mean, based on what I've seen right now and based on what we thought before, which, I mean, let's be honest, the way this season's gone, what you already thought, as long as it's not being just totally rebuffed, I think you're probably going to put teams like that in the playoffs. So, like, people who are like, I've seen all I need to see from Ohio State. Well, I mean, not really. To me, you're going off of what you thought you would see from Ohio State, and what we just saw confirmed that prior, so you're just locking them in. I mean, I'd like to see it consistently. They gave up a lot more yards than I expected them to Nebraska.
Yeah.
Justin Fields, that was a really good debut for Justin Fields, really solid debut against a Nebraska team that's still trying to find its defensive identity after, I don't know, like a dozen years of giving up 70 once a year or something like that. But it feels like other than Ohio State and other than a couple other teams in the Big Ten, there's not a lot going on throwing the ball. I mean, you have some decent outputs, but I wonder if starting a season in the freezing cold is not impacting some passing games, quarterback's ability to grip the ball. I felt bad, like Michigan and Minnesota. You know, Joe Milton and Tanner Morgan would have loved to have that month of September where it's like 60 degrees and a little bit breezy to get comfortable with their receivers rather than like playing on the frozen tundra their first game, you know, with temperatures in the 20s. I mean, that's silly. I mean, you look around the league, I questioned about Penn State. I said this, if there was one team coming into this season and overlooking his first opponent or starting slow, it's that James Franklin Penn State program going up against an Indiana team was better. Penn State was worse, Indiana was better. I took the Hoosiers outright, and that was a solid result this weekend for Indiana. But other than that, the Big Ten looks like just a bunch of, you know, whatever programs. I'm interested to see what Wisconsin does. Their biggest game of the regular season is at Michigan in 3 weeks, and Graham Mertz has COVID. So if they can somehow get by Michigan, which I don't know how they do. I have no idea how they do that. They're going to have to show me that the backup is just as good as the best quarterback they've ever signed at Wisconsin. Then that may be a crusher. But Wisconsin showed me something with Mertz on the field that he doesn't need super talented receivers. He can throw guys open. He can make some plays. I know it was Illinois, but that was an impressive debut as well.
Well, and I wanted to ask you about the Graham Mertz situation because I was just looking. We had somebody text us about it. I haven't seen that they've confirmed the second test, but if they do, that's most likely going to mean he's out for 21 days. I mean, that's the big fear for all of these teams in the Big Ten this year is what COVID and the impact that it could have on their schedule. I mean, if this is Ohio State that we're talking about today, this is the biggest news story we've had in college football this season. It's not. It's Graham Mertz, but a big deal nonetheless.
That's right. That's why people are skeptical that the Big Ten is going to have enough games to be able to do this. I mean, you look at coronavirus cases are spiking in various areas of the country, particularly areas that haven't seen a significant spike yet. That would include some areas in the upper Midwest, and yes, that would include some areas right near, adjacent to, or in college towns. And so when you've got to keep that overall number down at 6, that's 5%. You got to keep it 6 or below positive tests. It makes it very difficult, particularly with the 3-week quarantine that involves getting your cardiac stable and trying to make sure, double and triple check, and make sure these guys are back into game shape. I'm wondering this too, Swanee. In looking at how people deal with, particularly symptomatic people are dealing with coronavirus, I know I've had members of my family deal with it, and they say it takes a couple weeks to get you can do stuff, but it takes a couple weeks to get your stamina back. And so I'm looking at how Cam Newton's playing for the Patriots. You wonder if that has something to do with it there, with his downturn since COVID. Again, these are all sort of conjectures, but if Graham Mertz, I mean, this could theoretically be a lost season for Graham Mertz. If he's out 3 weeks and then it takes 2 to reacclimate, you're talking about 5 games, and there's no bye week built in there. I really think in hindsight, we're going to look at what the Big Ten and Pac-12 didn't do, what they were afraid to do earlier, what they should have had access to, the ACC and the SEC resources to do the testing and to do it in a way that allowed them to cancel games and allow them to make up games and allow them to be a little more judicious with themselves instead of feeling like they got to cram this season in with no break. Again, when you see Graham Mertz after the first weekend already out, again, assuming they confirm that test, it just shows you how tenuous this season is and what type of a razor's edge they are trying to walk right now. And again, we're going to look back at this and say, if they had started 3 weeks ago or a month ago, then this would feel a little more doable.
I said it as soon as the cases started to tick up nationally. I said that the SEC, the ACC, and the Big 12 look like geniuses. And a month before that, I would have told you I don't know that they're making the right call. But compared to the Big 10 and the Pac-12 now, I don't think there's a question, my man. Listen, I also don't think there's a question that you're our favorite guest here on a Monday afternoon, brother. I'm not going to say you're our only guest on a Monday afternoon, but you are our favorite guest, Qualk, and we look forward to having you back on with us on next Monday, brother.
I'm just glad I didn't finish second to NA. That's all. Just don't finish second to NA. We'll try to finish. We'll try to go 1-0 next Monday. How about that?
My man, be good, Qualk. Take care, buddy. Hey, by the way, you guys do a fantastic job, man. We don't plug your show enough. 12 to 3, 105.5 The Roar in the Upstate. He's killing it. Keep it up, big guy.
Oh, thank you.
William Qualkenbush, man. Good stuff from him. 803-450-0086. If you want to be a part of the program, hit us up. We'd love to hear from you. Got a couple of other things to get to on the program. That Graham Mertz story, we could dive into that. Penn State and Indiana. What a finish. We'll talk about that. Plus, some impactful Tigers in the NFL over the weekend. Oh, yes, including Isaiah Simmons.
And $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword SMILE to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's SMILE to 200-200.
Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic. Sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive. Home of the best tire prices in Columbia. Guaranteed. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
Big problems this afternoon on I-26 westbound near the 378 exit. The roadway is partially blocked. We also have an accident at Highway 6 at Platte Springs. The 103.5 FM WVOC traffic tip line number is 343-1055.
This report is sponsored by Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina Service Benefit Plan. They say defense wins championships. Defense protects your health too. If you're a federal employee in South Carolina, active or retired, the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Service Benefit Plan packs a wallop. Learn more at fepblue.org. We've been standing beside federal employees since 1960.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. Attention all women who have been diagnosed with ovarian cancer. Johnson & Johnson's baby powder and shower-to-shower talcum products have been linked to ovarian cancer. In February and May 2016, Johnson & Johnson was ordered to pay $72 million and $55 million by two juries to two women who contracted ovarian cancer after years of using talcum baby powder products. If you or a family member has been diagnosed with ovarian cancer and used talcum powder prior to the diagnosis, call Talcum Powder Help Now today at 800-833-0112. You may be entitled to substantial compensation. The consultation is free and you'll pay nothing unless there is a recovery in your favor. Don't fight this alone. If you or a loved one used talcum baby powder-based products before being diagnosed or died from ovarian cancer, call Talcum Powder Help Now at 800-833-0112. 800-833-0112. 800-833-0112.
Paid for by Bar Justice.
Hi, my name's Tim Forehand. I'm a deputy sheriff. In my job, keeping in shape is important. I've tried other products to get my weight down, but nothing has worked like Android 400. In just 3 months, I've dropped 51 pounds, down from 230 to 179. Plus, the weight's come off in the stomach area. I've gone from a snug 36-inch waist to a 32-inch waist, which I was in high school. I highly recommend the Android 400 to all my friends.
Guys, are you frustrated because no matter how hard you try, it seems impossible to lose stubborn belly fat? Then discover why thousands of men each month rely on Andro 400. Lose belly fat, gain energy and confidence, and feel great about yourself. Andro 400, the safe, effective, and inexpensive way to boost your testosterone. Go to andro400.com or call 888-400-0435.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to
someone who's being bullied online? Send the witness emoji. It looks like an eye in a speech bubble, and it's in the symbol section near the clocks in your phone. You'll let the world know it isn't cool, and you'll let your friend know you care. Learn more about the witness emoji at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Stay on top of today's pop culture. Ace and TJ Mornings and today's hit music all day on 104.7 WNOK.
William Qualkenbush with us on a Monday. Always good to hear from Qualk. Some great points. And again, getting into the conversations that we've had here on the program about the Big Ten, more specifically about the Big Ten schedule and trying to get through what they're trying to get through. It's not going to be easy. And, if Graham Mertz can't play, and we still haven't got the confirmed, you just, like Qualk says, it almost becomes a wasted season for him. And that 21-day quarantine deal, we knew. And it's just, it's going to be tough to watch and witness some players. And here's the other thing we know about COVID, right? If Mertz's situation turns out to be positive, it doesn't matter what we see with COVID-19 is when there's one, there's multiple. And can you imagine? And Wisconsin just had such an awesome moment this weekend. They looked great. Mertz was spectacular. Ben Zero says, I'm not sure if this has been discussed. Wisconsin without their quarterback for 3 weeks after testing positive for COVID. If they lose the next 3 games but win the remaining games after he comes back, how should the committee view those losses? Ben Zero, I think they're L's, man. I don't think there's any more than viewing Clemson minus Justin Ross, It is what it is. And it's been painful to watch, the effects that this has had on our country. It's been painful to watch the effects it's had on our ability as fans to go watch these games, on and on and on. Now, there was a funny moment on Saturday. I don't know if you saw this or not, or heard this or not, but, there's a trick play where Amari Rodgers throws the ball back to Trevor Lawrence. And Trevor said after the game, yeah, it was open. He said, they don't say anything bad about me when I underthrow a pass, so I'm not going to say anything bad about him. I still got some positive yards. I think before that I had negative receiving yards in my career. Trevor Lawrence there talking about the pass from Amari Rodgers that came up a little bit short on Saturday. Double O chiming into the program. He says, Swanee, I am a premium subscriber, and I am telling everyone not to listen to your show. I'm telling everyone not to listen to your show and join me in boycotting you and your show. Stop begging for a goal of 100 fans watching live. And then you're trying to bribe people with gifts. So sad. Call your buddy Paul Feinbaum. That's from Double O. Hopefully the Watchman will come to my defense. 803-450-0086. I like a challenge, Double O. I like a challenge out of the gates every day. Again, Clemson also played that game, gave up 14 points defensively. James Skalski didn't play. Tyler Davis didn't play. Darion Kendrick didn't play. I mean, the reality is at each of the three levels, you had a starter out. Most of that was just from rough practice. Tyler Davis got banged up or rolled up on Wednesday. And, you know, Clemson has a little bit of a luxury, whether you like it or not. Clemson has a little bit of a luxury to not have to play all of their guys all the time. They have a luxury of being able to rest some guys because they are deep and they are talented. I asked Dabo Swinney about E.J. Williams' block on the edge during one of Amari Rogers' receptions, and Swinney said it was a well-executed X block to set the edge. Amari hit a little crease up in there. Those guys are growing. They're going to be a really good group, and I think that's one thing that I saw this weekend from some of the younger wide receivers is that maturity and that growth that we really want to see. And this team will absolutely be better because of it. They will absolutely be better because of it. But they've got a level of depth that is unparalleled outside of a couple of ball clubs, including Ohio State and Alabama. And Alabama this past weekend putting the rammer jammer, yellow hammer down on Tennessee, but on the opening kickoff lost arguably their biggest star, Jalen Waddle, out for the year. Just, disappointing news because when you talk about the Heisman Trophy conversations with a wide receiver, Jalen Waddle was really starting to get into those, and that's not something that's normal. And so for Alabama to lose him, he had successful season-ending surgery. It's just tough. It's tough. Now, Clemson fans, you don't ever root. You shouldn't. I hope you don't root for anybody to be hurt. But that's, if you want to talk about the type of loss that could impact Alabama getting to the postseason or winning a national title, that is their single biggest playmaker. I mean, that is a huge loss for the Crimson Tide. And I just hate it for the young man. The sport, to me, changed when I started covering it. And these guys, whether they're on your team or against your team, add so much substance to the game that losing that guy from every weekend, be able to watch his explosiveness, it's just sad. I mean, it's not fun. All right, we'll keep it with the wide receivers here because we did not get through all of Ajou Ajou's comments earlier. When we come back, Ajou will tell you about his first touchdown that took place in Georgia Tech after an almost touchdown. We'll hear that next.
Are you worried you might have COVID? Veritas Urgent Care in Lexington has COVID testing so you can find out. They keep wait times low, are veteran-focused, and handle both insured and uninsured patients at low cost. Most importantly, every patient gets the time necessary from Dr. Hatami to treat their needs. And COVID testing through a secure and separate part of the building. Pre-book an appointment today at solvehealth.com. solvhealth.com. We put the urgent in urgent care.
Lindsey Graham talks about what's at stake in this election.
Liberals like Jamie Harrison see the world in a radically different way. They want to expand the court with liberal judges and fundamentally change who we are and what we believe. We can't let that happen. They believe government can solve all of our problems. I don't. They believe in open borders, free health care for illegals, and late-term abortion. I don't. They want to defund the police. I never will.
Jamie Harrison is spending $100 million to defeat Lindsey Graham. $100 million to remake his own liberal image and smear Lindsey Graham. Don't be fooled by the lies and smears. Harrison's campaign is funded by Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, and liberals in Hollywood because they want control. Don't let outsiders buy South Carolina.
I'm Lindsey Graham, candidate for the United States Senate. I approve this message because a conservative Supreme Court is worth fighting for.
Paid for by Team Graham.
Here's your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword SMILE to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's SMILE to 200-200.
This is Doug Gottlieb. Here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network.
Presented by the Blood Connection, your community blood center.
The Cowboys have officially hit rock bottom. Andy Dalton got knocked out, and none of his teammates came to his defense. Absolutely nothing is working under new coach Mike McCarthy. The players aren't listening. They're unmotivated. There's a mutiny in the locker room. This isn't about lack of off-season. First-year head coaches are thriving. Even Ron Rivera battling cancer, and his team competes every week. It's time to admit for Jerry Jones, he made a huge mistake. It's time to start over. I'm Colin Cowherd.
If you have recovered from COVID-19 or tested positive for the antibodies, you may have the power to give hope to a neighbor battling with this virus. Donate plasma with the Blood Connection to help your neighbors right now. Go to thebloodconnection.org to schedule your appointment today.
Killer hits. Commercial free. That's Halloween radio on iHeartRadio. From Thriller to Ghostbusters, Nightmare on My Street to Monster Mash, and so many more. This spooky station is perfect for putting you in the Halloween spirit all month long. Plus, our Halloween playlist has all the fright with even more bite. Just open the free iHeartRadio app and search Halloween. It's all there, waiting for you. iHeartRadio, #1 for music, radio, and podcasting, all in one app.
iHeartRadio. There are many sounds in your day-to-day life. There are sounds that wake you up. Sounds that make you smile. Sounds that energize you. And sounds that help you relax. But there are some sounds that can alert you to danger and can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you information about severe weather events, Amber Alerts, or other emergencies in your area. With critical information from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know, wherever you are. For more information, visit ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
It's sports radio done only the way Fox can do it.
Always something to talk about. There's always controversy.
You're listening to Fox Sports Radio 1400.
Back at it on a Monday afternoon, the show that shakes the Southland. Lawton Swan along for the ride. Like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe. There is a great video. I can't remember if I think I briefly mentioned it. I won't play it. You got to go find it, though. The SEC Shorts video. I retweeted it at Clemson Sports. If you are a Gamecock fan, that is hilarious. I think you gotta like it if you're a Gamecock.
So you can continue to peek over the fence at the best radio show in the nation.
Thank you, Gamecock Nation. 803-450-0086, 803-450-0086. Mentioning Ohio State coming in, they move up to number 3 in the polls. By the way, the Tigers still on top, didn't lose any ground with their performance in the mind's eye of the college football playoff, or in the college football AP and coaches rankings. Still looking good by comparison to Alabama. Clemson 1, Alabama 2, Ohio State 3, Notre Dame 4, Georgia 5, Oklahoma State 6. The top 6 all in lockstep. I believe the lockstep, I don't have it pulled up in front of me, went down a good bit further, but those top 6 in both polls were eerily similar in total points and number of votes, etc. But we've got Ajou Ajou. Again, a little bit more audio from Ajou here on the program for you. If you didn't hear any of his comments earlier, you're going to love this young man out of Canada, Edmonton, Alberta. And boy, what a gem of a human being and fun to interview. Goodness gracious. But here's what he had to say about his first touchdown that came a week ago against Georgia Tech down in Atlanta.
So, they call the play, and I'm like, oh, this is good. This is coming to me. So I'm like, okay, be ready. So, I go, boom, I catch the ball, and I'm like, I look and I'm like, oh man, this is really happening now. And like, I don't know, like a sense of like, I just got so much adrenaline in me, and I was like, go, boom. So I start, and then everything is just like it's like tunnel vision. Just get to the end zone, really. And I was like, just hitting my moves, and I start running, and I finally get there, and I'm like, what? And I just hear the crowd erupt, and I'm like, no way, this just happened. Like I've been wanting this to happen my entire life, and I was like, it was just blurry. I was speechless until I sat down on the bench. Like I had nothing to say. I was just like screaming, and I went to the bench. My teammates going crazy. It was awesome.
Ajou Ajou there talking about his touchdown reception against Georgia Tech, and that came also off the heels of another opportunity where he made a catch and got reviewed, and they say he didn't come down with it in bounds. But he's not the only Canadian wide receiver playing collegiately, and we talked about Chuba Hubbard, the running back at Oklahoma State earlier, but there have been a number of Canadian guys kind of making their names known this year in college football, and here's what Ajou had to say about it.
Joe, just before that, it looked like you made it.
Obviously, that's not Ajou. This is Ajou talking about that almost touchdown reception.
Yeah, most definitely. It was. I thought I got in, because I hit the pylon, my toes were in, but it kind of motivated me a little more just to now you really got to show them.
All right, so here's Ajou talking about the other wide receivers from Canada in college football.
It's amazing because, we can finally showcase our talents at such a high level and show that, Canadians got it too. You know what I mean? So, I see Josh Palmer, John Mechie, Jared Wayne at Pitt, Theo Johnson, he's a tight end at Penn State, and Chase Claypool, he's kind of leading the way right now at Pittsburgh, so it's amazing, really. Like, it just motivates me, like, all right, let's go. We got this. Let's do it.
And that goes back to what I was saying earlier about the Canadian guys really having a relationship and knowing each other so well. Really neat to hear that from Ajou earlier today. He also talked about what it's like to be at Clemson. He mentioned earlier how it's similar to his hometown there in Brooks, but here's what he had to say about being at Clemson.
It's definitely what I hope would happen. I can't really say I expect this, but I've always wanted this to happen, and it's really amazing. Like, you guys got to come visit soon, like after this Corona stuff, because I'm telling you, this place is it's really amazing. Well, I haven't played in front of 80,000 fans, but just playing in front of 19,000, I'm like, wow, like, cool, wow, this is great, and like, I mean, the practices, like, they push you to your limits. Like, they want the best out of you, but they're gonna treat you right. And they really put school first. You're really a student before the athlete, So like, I really like that because, like, after football, like, what's gonna happen, And they just emphasize that, really.
Well, and again, that's the thing that Clemson talks about. The Paul journey is another big part of it, and you just continually hear that from the players coming out of Tiger Town, that they put the student part first. Ajou was also asked about the blonde bomber. He was asked about Big Trev, the giant killer. Here's what he had to say about Trevor Lawrence.
He's a great guy. Like, I don't even like. He's a good quarterback, but like, he's like, Trevor's the nicest guy ever. He got the Goldilocks hair. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know. His smile too. It just, he walks in the room and everyone just, hey, what's up, Trevor? How you doing? Like, he's just a great guy to be around.
Okay, so that's clearly the line of the day, without a question. Ajou with he's got the Goldilocks hair. Let me see if I can cue that up.
Trevor's the nicest guy ever. He got the Goldilocks hair. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know.
He's got the Goldilocks hair. Oh man, this kid is a gem. Head over right now, ClemsonSportsTalk.com. You can listen to the full interview, but more importantly, right now, during the commercial break, you can read the article about Ajou Ajou and get caught up on everything else going on in the world of your Clemson Tigers. Again, we'd love to have you as a subscriber. $63.17. That's right, Gamecock Nation. $63.17 to join us for 1 year, 18 cents a day, $5.25 a month if you pay in advance. Get that $63.17 deal right now. ClemsonSportsTalk.com. Again, it's never as bad or as good as you think. Were we in the Twilight Zone on Saturday, or are the Clemson Tigers in for another matchup like that? Could they be tested at home by an upstart Boston College team? We'll talk about that much more during the week. We hit our final break here on a Monday. Stay with us.
Lawton Swan here, and I know in sports we're always talking about the big guy. Well, let me tell you, when you're buying a car, you don't need that. What you need to do is head down to Orangeburg to my good friends at Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac. 4 generations of family-owned business right there at Ferry Chevrolet. No dock fees, no tricks, straightforward pricing in a low-pressure environment you'll love. Check them out online, ferrychevrolet.com, or call them 803-536-1600. It's Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac, just a short 30-minute drive off of exit 145A in Orangeburg.
For 28 years, the professional staff of the Hobbs Group and Hobbs Group Advisors has been dedicated to helping others achieve their financial goals by delivering quality, objective financial and accounting solutions to a diverse client base of individuals and businesses all over South Carolina. We offer tax and audit services, bookkeeping, payroll, litigation support, employee benefits, personal financial planning, investment management, and insurance services. Please call us at 803-799-0555 or visit our website, hobbscpa.com, to learn more about our people and services.
Hey golfers, have you been to the golf capital of the world yet? Myrtle Beach Golf offers a variety of custom packages featuring nearly 80 courses. Golfers have the option to create the exact experience they're looking for. Plus, Myrtle Beach Golf provides top-notch accommodations with over 15 resorts, all guaranteed to be a hole-in-one. Come join us for a short drive away in Myrtle Beach for your best golf trip by par. Book now at myrtlebeachgolf.com.
Hey, this is Ray.
And Marianne with Absolute Glass.
We would like to thank Lexington for voting us Best Glass Shop in Lexington for 10 years in a row.
Absolute Glass specializes in high-end auto glass replacement and repair.
We also do home windows,
patio doors,
tabletops,
shower doors,
mirrors,
storefronts,
and decorative glass.
Find us online at absoluteglassinc.com.
And remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
I'm Jamie Harrison, candidate for the United States Senate, and I approve this message.
Before you vote, know the facts about who's on the ballot. Lindsey Graham can't be trusted. He tells us he opposes abortion, then votes for 2 of Obama's pro-choice Supreme Court justices. Lindsey Graham's word is worthless. But beware, right-wing Constitution Party candidate Dr. Bill Bledsoe is also on the ballot. Bledsoe talks about owning a small business and rescuing bald eagles. But Bledsoe opposes all abortions, and Bledsoe never wavered on Donald Trump. He supported Trump from day one. Bledsoe held gun rallies across South Carolina claiming that any gun control law infringes upon the Second Amendment and the rights of citizens to arm and defend themselves. Dr. Bill Bledsoe, no abortions, no restrictions on guns, none, and pro-Trump from day one. Bill Bledsoe's just too conservative for South Carolina. Paid for by Jamie Harrison for U.S. Senate.
Whoa, long time no see. It's me, the Rock t-shirt in the back of your closet. Dude, remember? You crowd surfed in me, man. But you haven't worn me in like forever. I get it, you're retired, but I still got some rock left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff, create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique, but you are not alone. MAD is here to help. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org. That's MADD.org.
Fox Sports Radio 1400. Online at foxsportsradio1400.com. On your phone with the iHeartRadio app and on hundreds of devices like Alexa, Google Home, Xbox, and Sonos. An iHeart radio station.
What have you done for me lately? It's a fair question. Just don't lose sight of the bigger picture. Don't forget history. Lucky for us at Clemson, the answer to the questions, what have you done for me lately, and what have you done always, are the same.
Final segment on a Monday afternoon. Lawton Swan with you. Thank you for being a part of the program. Couple of things to get to here to put a little bow on the show. I hope you enjoyed the Ajou Ajou interview. I think it was last week. There was a quote. I can't remember if I read it on the air, but an author up in, or a writer up in Canada writing a story about Ajou said that the chances, it was something along the lines of the chances that his name gets put in the historical records of college football were twice as great as anybody else's playing today because the kid's name is Ajou Ajou. Brilliant. I mean, it was a beautiful piece. I wish I could read it right. Ross Taylor tweeted it. I can't find it or remember it. Now, there is another undefeated team in the state of South Carolina. Did you recognize Coastal? Have you given the proper love to the Chanticleers? Man, what an incredible story they've become, not only here in the state of South Carolina, but also nationally, just because their first time making this type of splash in college football. I saw our good buddy Tim Brando had him in his top 10 this week. Pretty incredible. Now, Power 5, undefeated teams, Clemson, Alabama. If you want to count the 1-0s, and that's the thing that Dabo Swinney said the other day. He said, look, and I told you guys last week, I think last week would have been the most undefeated teams playing because the Big Ten just came online and there were 14 undefeated teams playing alone in that league. That number's been cut in half, obviously. But if we take out the teams that just started, Ohio State, Wisconsin, Michigan, etc., you've got Clemson, Alabama, Notre Dame, Oklahoma State, and that's it. That's all. 4 teams in the Power 5 that are undefeated. If you keep the rest of those in there, yeah, you certainly would still have something to talk about, but it's a small number right now. BYU could end up being a fly in the ointment. I don't think anybody thinks Marshall or Coastal or Cincinnati or Liberty. But at this point, you look at Clemson, you look at Alabama, you look at Ohio State. Who's that 4th team out there? Is it Notre Dame? And is Notre Dame's biggest concern, the thing that's most likely to keep them out, your Tigers, because they have to beat you or play you twice? I mean, could that be the open door for another program out of the SEC or another program out of the Big 12? Legit conversations, I think, can be had about that. 803-450-0086. I know I'm getting text messages. Oh, but I found the phone. I could see them going through on my watch, but I couldn't find my phone. Got it. Let's see here. 00 said, okay, I lied. One more text before my vacation. And everyone knows I take way too many vacations. They're well-deserved. You know my fans, Mike Yuva, Donald Trump, Rob Sanders, Gary the Thrills Mills. All right. Should I send you off in style? I feel like you need some going away music. 00's going on vacation, folks.
I love the holiday season.
What was that?
I love the holiday season.
That's outstanding. Thank you for that. All right. I love the holiday season. 00's taking a break. He's got reruns of Monk to catch up on. Michael confirms he was in his CE 310 class when Dr. Jim Barati, I'm assuming that's all spelled right, walked in and said Danny Ford was being fired. So that was a reference to Danny Ford being fired. Appreciate you there, Michael. By the way, if you're watching right now, like, share, and subscribe. We're still trying to hit 100. It doesn't matter when it happens. B-Man in SC sent me a text. He says, Swati, what if this was the COVID vaccine? It's a picture of an Almond Joy bar.
Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Come on, man. What are you guys doing to me? You guys, I'm being bullied on my own show. All right, let's see. Billy wants to know how ESPN could justify putting Ohio State #1 in their power rankings when they haven't even played a game. I guess that came in last week. Billy, I don't know. Are they still there? I didn't check the FPI. Man, what a day. You guys have been amazing. I have laughed. It's funny because when we go back and reset the conversation in 3 years with Ajou Ajou, that is going to be some awesome material. Much like if you go back and find anything we did with ETM when he first got going. These guys are so raw and so open. Members of the media just thanking him at the end because I think being pressed to do this a lot can put you in a shell. He was wide open, man. The full interview, ClemsonSportsTalk.com. Go check it out. Read the article. It is really, really good. We got to get out of here until tomorrow. As always, y'all take care now. And go Tigers!
Sports Talk with Lawton Swan on Columbia's home for sports. Fox Sports Radio 1400. Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis